We'll start now. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to yet another session of Open Innovator Show. And I know what you are thinking, almost most of you, right? Yet another session on AI and data, right? Haven't we heard it all already? But trust me, today's session is going to be different. Well, I am Naman Kothari, your host for the evening, and today we are diving deep into a space where data doesn't sit in a spreadsheet. Data now tells stories, answer questions, and even predict the future. And how, some of you may ask. So through the magic of generative AI, Gen AI as we call it, or as I like to call it, your data's personal assistant on steroids. So if you are a Harvey Specter, Gen AI is your Donna. Or imagine it as Q from James Bond, equipping you with the high-tech gadgets of insights and predictions. Excited already? I know I am, but let's get right to it with a question for all of you. I promise you we'll be making this session pretty engaging. So we have a question for all of you. Did you know that by 2025, the total amount of data generated worldwide is expected to hit 181 zettabytes? I would ask my team to, pull up the slide that we have prepared. So that's 181 followed by 21 zeros. Well, if that doesn't get your data geek heart racing, I don't know what will. 181 zettabytes. Well, that's crazy stuff. Now let me, throw a fun fact your way. So as I was discussing this with Sushant, do you know how much data we produce every day? A whopping 2.5 quintillion bytes. That's quintillion with a Q. It's like if every grain of sand on the beach represented a piece of data, well, you would have to swim through a lot of sand. But here's the kicker. Most organizations are only using 2% of this data. The rest, you might wonder, sitting there like leftovers from last year's office party, untouched, waiting for someone to make use of it. Now, this is where Gen AI comes in. Think of Gen AI as Marlon Brando, Don Corleone, right, from The Godfather, a master strategist who, with a single glance, sees through the chaos and designs a flawless plan. Just like Don Corleone gets his things done behind the scenes, Gen AI transforms your data into powerful insight effortlessly. And we are not talking just about crunching numbers or making pretty graphs. We are talking about actionable insight, stuff you can actually use to make decisions. Like when, Netflix already knows you are going to binge watch an entire season of Friends, even when you bet you would sleep early tonight. Or when, Amazon recommends that one kitchen gadget jo chahiye hi nahi aapko, that you never knew you needed, but now you can't live without it. So everything is powered by AI. But let's not, just take my word for it. You will all remember the AI that beat human at chess, Deep Blue by IBM in 1997. Well, now AI is helping companies like Coca-Cola come up with new flavors. It was in news recently. So you heard that right, AI might be responsible for the next soda you drink. And it's not just the beverage industry. We work with lots of healthcare players, healthcare partners also. Hospitals are using that Gen AI to predict patient readmission rates. That's an interesting use case. Automotive industries are optimizing supply chain. And let's not, forget the really important stuff, cool stuff as I would say, like Instagram. Instagram predicting which meme you will share or send to your group chat. Right? Will it be a meme from the famous Vada Pav girl or the colorful Dolly Chai Wala meeting Bill Gates? Right? Talk about next level insight. This is what Gen AI is doing now. So what are we really talking about when we say from data to decisions? We have some numbers here. It's turning raw, boring numbers into something useful. Simply put it like, all right, we have the slide here. So we'll be discussing, so this is all about actionable insight. We'll be discussing a lot as we go along about Gen AI. And today's session, we'll dive into the nuts and bolts of this transformation. We'll explore real life Gen AI powered tools. Hear from the leaders and innovators who are taking these tools and doing amazing things with them. And maybe, just maybe, just maybe you will leave this session with that light bulb moment when you realize how this tech could actually, transform or revolutionize your business. And of course, we have got some amazing startups lined up today, startup pitches, showcasing innovation that are turning the vision into reality. These are handpicked startups we have specially segregated for this particular session. You will hear how these entrepreneurs are harnessing the power of GenAI to create solutions that are practical, scalable, and honestly pretty mind-blowing. So we have Alphaa.ai, I can see Preksha over there. We have LEGOAI and we have dataeaze. Now, I also have to, give a shout out to all of you tuning in today. We have a full house. We are thrilled to have, such a curious, I would say, data-loving, AI-hungry participant with us. And trust me, we have made sure this isn't going to be one of those sessions. You trust me on that, where you are just watching slides, and you silently sipping coffee. No, not on our watch at least. So we have packed this session with some lively discussions, mind-blowing fun facts, and I would say even a few polls to keep you on your toes. All of this has been masterfully curated by my colleagues Piyush Rajan and Agrima Sharma from our marketing and research team. They are basically our in-house fun fact wizards. So without further ado, here's the deal, guys. So get ready to participate, laugh and learn, and let's turn this into a conversation that's as exciting as your favorite binge watch series. I've been talking a lot about series now, but your input is what makes this session shine. So don't be shy, jump in and let's make it a blast. All right, with that, let's get started on this journey from data to decisions. Who know, by the end of today, you might find yourself, wishing you had your own very personal GenAI assistant. You never know. So we have got a lined up of stellar speakers who are leading the charge and setting the bar high. Our lineup of speakers is like, I would say, the Avengers of AI world, each bringing their superpower to the table. First up, we have Sarbani Datta, Senior Data Scientist at Denner Life Sciences. We have Sridhar Anjanappa, Senior R&D Manager at Baxter Innovations. We have Shinde, GenAI Lead at the Godrej Group. And we have Parijat Verma, PMO at Vedanta Spark. Without further ado, let's bring all our star panel to the screen. All right, we have everyone here. And let's dive into a discussion that's sure to be both enlightening and entertaining. Welcome everyone. Post this, we'll also have startup pitches. Startups are patiently waiting for it. All right, folks, I think we are almost ready. Okay. All right. Wait a minute. Something seems to be missing. Did we forget something important? Did we? Oh, yes. So we haven't called out our moderator yet. So let's get back on track and welcome our moderator for the day. He's a tech wizard who can make AI use case sound like bedtime stories and who loves tinkering with the latest gadgets like a kid in a candy store, I would say. Please join me in welcoming my colleague Sushant Bindal from NASSCOM Center of Excellence. He's the guy who's not just playing with the new tech, but practically building sandcastles out of it. Well, you'll see it later. Sushant, take it away and show us what you have got.
Thanks, Naman. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Hi all, good evening everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this insightful session on generative AI for data analytics. As Naman mentioned, my name is Sushant. I head the innovation and partnership over here, as well as I manage a vertical which we call enterprise vertical. And GenAI is something which I am driving at NASSCOM Center of Excellence. So GenAI as a technology is gaining a lot of traction from various enterprises. So one of the facts, Naman threw a lot of facts. I will also throw some of the facts. Now, coming to the GenAI adoption index, you will be amazed to know that more than 80% of the organization by 2026 will be using GenAI in some capacity or the other. So, and if I talk about specifically around data analytics, this was valued around $100 million back in 2023 because the base year was 2022 only when this ChatGPT revolution began. This is expected to grow to $1,650 million USD by 2033. I'm only talking about data analytics. So growing at a CAGR of 33.3%. Now, so Naman mentioned about IBM and some of the older. So if you go back to data analytics has been there since beginning. In 1950, we were working using basic statistical models, capable of handling structured data. And now we have evolved to utilizing all these upcoming GenAI tools who are basically capable of managing, handling complex data in real-time basis. We have new emerging technologies like GenAI, AutoML, edge analytics, etc. Which are actually doing. They are pushing the boundaries of what is possible and how the insights could be generated. So I'll be focusing more on the key challenges what we are facing. We'll be asking all these questions from the data analytics and from the experts, and would like to get the answers from the experts about their experience, how they are leveraging GenAI in solving some of the business challenges what they are getting from their different business units. So my first question would be as I mentioned, data analytics have been there since many years, but what are some of the key challenges the leaders are facing when they are integrating GenAI into their existing data analytics workflow, given we have a mix of legacy applications as well as data coming from multiple sources. Sridhar, we can start with you.
Yes,
Sridhar?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I think the question is how the GenAI is used with a mix of legacy applications and an upcoming new applications. Is that the question?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very well said. I think that's one of the key challenges that we face today. I think I know the moment we say it's a GenAI application, we always start developing it from the scratch. And in the excitement, then I realized that how well it will be integrated with my existing ecosystem, right? So it's very much necessary. That's my learning, right? It's very much necessary to get all the stakeholders on the board, including if it's a solution which runs within the organization, then the IT department, the security service team, quality and regulatory, if they're part of the organization, requires to be on board to ensure that it aligns with them is one. Second is having the integration with existing infrastructure, like for example, in our case, we are using Jira as our issue management system for our product. So can it integrate with existing systems, right? And my product lifecycle management systems. Because if I'm doing my product development process optimization through GenAI, right? So that becomes a key aspect of it. I think then if it's a solution customer phase and if it's, let's say, to be deployed in a hospital, definitely it makes sense that you understand the healthcare's interoperability standards. As in our case, we use HL7 or FHIR as healthcare information exchange protocols or the standards that we adopt. So even your GenAI application has to adopt some of the standards in the way that it exchange the data with existing legacy systems. It's an important aspect of it. And having the hospital biomedical engineers, the IT administrators on board, and they understand how to utilize or communicate with your GenAI applications also becomes extremely important. So integrating with existing systems and being compatible, and it becomes a key key challenge and need to be thought through before you develop your GenAI solution.
Absolutely. So we can move to Parijat ji. Parijat, you come from mining industry, right? And where the data is still a lot of data is not still digitalized, and or it is there in a lot of Excel sheets. We have been working together in solving this issue. How do you foresee, how you will be this kind of challenge of integrating data coming from multiple sources and generating insights, and secondly, it's a very domain specific industry you are part of. So how will you manage some such kind of complexity to generate the insights?
It's actually a very good question, Susan. So, I'll go back to what Naman said, that we are just using 2% of the data that we have, which is actually a fact. If you see today, data and data in mining industry is sitting in silos, like you said, and in the second phase of kind of using the AI, you need to have data and you need to pre-train your system so as to generate non-biased information out of it. Now, to do that, you have to work on those 98% which is left behind, and that is where the what we call unknown problem and unknown solution lie. And it's very kind of easy to find out a problem and then have a set of data and then identify where you are leading or lagging and come to a conclusion that we should do this. But there is many things which are left behind. For example, say when we are doing the highest steel production, it's not just one factor that will be responsible for that day of production. There will be multiple factors in this whole part of the integrated steel plant that would have worked to get to the highest production level. And that is where this unknown problem and unknown solution comes. What was all the planetary condition of the plant when this thing happened has to be aligned again to make this happen. So when you talk about kind of consolidating it and putting an AI model over it to use it, there are multiple ways with which we have been partnering with the startups and leveraging that and giving them this vast resource of Vedanta to and it is always good to start with small pilots, because that is how you can inculcate AI into the system. You cannot overnight put in some big system and ask everyone to adopt it. So with the small pilots and projects, you can start working on those 98% of data through several, for example, for quality control, camera vision is one AI method that we use to now control the quality. Many times when mill is rolling, that time sometimes cobble happens. Cobble is basically the rod breaks. So now the camera vision can in advance tell that it might break. So it's not just preventing cobbling, but it also ensuring that the production is high, there is lesser shutdown time. So slowly you have to start working on those 98% by using technologies like camera vision. There are vibration sensors that we use in mining industry extensively. So you can use those mining sensors, and data arrived from those mining sensors can be analyzed. And one thing we have to understand that this AI is not magic, but it's truly magical. It is pre-trained on what we are giving, and if you want to ensure that there's no biasness in the data, it has to diverse, holistic, and very, very like you said, it's a very, very specific industry. So it has to be a vertical AI that has to be built so as to ensure that the output or I would say the prescription that is being given by the AI is more relevant, is non-biased, and actually giving you opportunity to take decisions based on real-time data, not on stale data. So for me it's very important in Vedanta to kind of, and that is what we are doing. We have partnered with NASCOM as well. So to start with the small pilot projects with and work on different parts. And best part about AI is that we move to unstructured data to structured data, where we move from pen and paper, registers to computers. When computers came, also there was a lot of resistance. So resistance is something that is expected, but now that's a history. We can't live without computers. So again, the world is moving towards unstructured data from structured data, where you start giving unstructured data to the system, and it'll make sense out of it, and it'll give you the right prescription, right? It'll give you a great amount of decision-making powers and great amount of insights. So this is and we see a very, very big shift in this. We work with one of the startup who is working with another client of his, who is completely eliminating SAP and using RFID to kind of track it. And that is where they are moving to. Just imagine moving out of SAP and getting into completely something which is based out of AI, and they're taking decisions based on that. So in a particular industry, Susan, it becomes very, very important that you work vertically.
Absolutely. And this is something which we have been seeing, the domain expertise plays a very important part, when you're working with the specific data in order to generate insights. Very interesting thing, you spoke about the data bias. And this is something which I was discussing with Sarbani, being the only technical person in the group. I wanted to ask her, so data bias is a very big challenge in GenAI applications. How do you mitigate data biases? And when the data is at scale?
Yeah, starting from machine learning to come to GenAI, we are dealing with data bias in a different way or the other. Synthesizing, that's one way of synthesizing the data, so that if there is any kind of a drift later on, so we could handle, or the large language model can handle it. So synthesizing is one of the ways that we can handle data bias so far. And also training the model, taking the foundational model and training it, that really helps to make it unbiased at certain point.
Perfect. Thank you. Shirin, I remember we were having a discussion regarding some of the complex use cases across different Godrej Group entities for generating insights. And this is one of the issues even you spoke about, how you can integrate the existing workflows, and use GenAI to generate insights. And we talked about some external variables for data capturing as well. Could you light us, how do you overcome such kind of challenges, and what are the challenges did you face, and specifically, the challenges around scalability? Because I remember you spoke about scalability at length.
Yes, Sushant. So I think, first of all, good set of people, I think, today. So a lot of thought-provoking words and ideas. Working at Godrej with such variance of businesses that we are in, and geographically, product-wise, so I think each and every use case has a use case that I can extrapolate in Godrej. So that's the funny part. Whenever I speak to somebody, I say, oh yes, that can be used there. So I think that expanse is exciting, but it also is challenging, because just the sheer amount of multiple types of data that have to come in, and flows, and just to make sense of it. And while we are very excited about GenAI, I think there is also a lot of apprehension when it comes to new things. People have that ifs and buts in the mind. So how I am looking at it as, and I think even Parijat mentioned it, doing small POCs, having a clear action point, because we are in this for long term. I think Godrej means long term. Anyways, we're a 127-year-old organization. So looking at it by parts while having a bigger picture in mind is my strategy right now. Trying to see the low-hanging fruits, identifying businesses and business interest and use cases where I know that this is going to get used, or the solution is going to get used. So looking at while having a sense of big picture about what are the different sources, is it a consumer data, is it a B2B data, is it from real estate business, is it from consumer product business. So looking at that entire big picture, trying to map that. Still in the process of it, have been doing it for last 4 months, but I think now I'm trying to prioritize a few pieces of it, not trying to solve the entire puzzle. That's the way ahead, that's the approach that we would like to take going ahead, and I think that's the scalability model also.
Perfect, Shirin. We have a couple of good solution providers for you. So we'll be pitching. Naman, over to you for the first presentation.
Thank you, Sushant. The first segment was really interesting, full of ideas, full of innovation. And Sushant, one thing is clear, we are on a cusp of something huge. And but let's not stop here. Also, I'll just before our first presenter today, first startup, I'll just quickly take 2 minutes to talk little about Open Innovator. We are all about keeping this momentum going. Our goal is to simple, bringing together brilliant minds like all of you here today and connecting enterprises with the best possible solutions to tackle the toughest challenges. We are working on some really interesting use cases. So whether it's startup who's pushing the boundaries of technology, enterprise seeking cutting edge solutions, or innovators with disruptive ideas, we are building a community that thrives on collaboration. And this isn't just a one-time conversation, as I always say. We have got a whole lineup of exciting knowledge sessions coming up, right? So I'll just request my colleague to pull up the calendar. This month, we'll be diving into innovation in cloud compute, which we are doing in association with Dell. After that, we have AI in HR. Then we have AI in supply chain. So, we have a power-packed calendar, action-packed complete month, right? And on that note, may I please invite our first presenter, Preksha Kaparwan, one of the founders of Alphaa AI. Preksha, I remember meeting you, 3-4 years back at the Noida office of NASSCOM. At that point of time, you were just starting up, and now here we are. Quite a journey, I must say, right? Over to you. Before that, let me, set the context. So you will have 8 minutes to talk about your solution, right? Please touch upon the problem statement that you are catering, the solution that you have built, the tech stack that you have, and some impact that you can talk about, right? That's all required to impress all the leaders sitting over there, right? And get some sort of use case from them. Over to you, Preksha, over to you.
Hi, Naman, thank you. Naman, I also have my co-founder Saurabh here who will be presenting. So, and you have met both of us.
Yes, please go ahead. You have all the access. I think both Saurabh and you have the access.
I cannot share my screen, Naman, I think so.
Piyush, can you please help? Saurabh is on the screen right now, and so Preksha, while okay. Saurabh, can you please try now?
No, it's like only meeting organizers. I think I need to be made presenter.
All right. So while Piyush makes you the presenter, Preksha, can you please talk a little about what you do? Piyush, while you please check and make Saurabh the presenter.
Preksha, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, yes. So Saurabh and I started Alphaa AI almost 4 years back, and we have been researching on the AI that we like to call deterministic AI since almost 6 years. So before you see any of the APIs that are available today, we already had the NLP to analytics solution. And I think that is one of the first versions that Naman also saw at the NASSCOM Noida. And today you'll see how far we have come from that. Saurabh takes care of the entire technology. and I take care of the marketing and the reach out and the branding of the product.
Is my screen visible now?
It's visible, yes.
Hey guys, my name is Saurabh. I'm one of the co-founders at Super. And before getting into this, like just to a little bit brief about us. So I used to work for Microsoft some 20 odd years ago, and I have built 3 data companies in the past. This one is like Alphaa AI. We started Super after moving to US 2 years ago. So Super is basically a kind of AI data analyst. And as I think our first speaker was talking about that, hey, we needed to reuse what we already had built. That is one of the first asks from enterprise. The second ask, which I heard Parijat talking about, is, hey, this has to be something which is very private because the information is supposed to be very, very secure. We can't just take and upload that data on ChatGPT. So in this scenario, we are presenting you a AI data analyst, right? This is connected to a retail data store, and the way you can access things is just press on a mic. Can you help me make a report for our top 100 customers who are buying a lot of phones in New York, and also tell me what kind of sales profit and discount they're generating? Focus on our last 5 years of data, and if you can also segment these customers, that will be really good. So what you are able to see, it is one of the most fastest NLP. It took less than say 300 milliseconds to actually understand the question. And the good part is we realize business user life is really already tough and we cannot afford to remember the question. So you can just say, how do I save this report as same report 2, right? And next time if I want to ask this question, I don't need to remember the whole thing. I can ask can you show me report 2, right? And not only you can do this thing, but since the report has already been saved, but you don't like to see the same report, you like to make some changes. You see our sales is more than $5,000-$6,000. So I can say where sales is less than 5K. You can see the exact same report just got modified. So while we are doing this thing, the good part is the data comes from our a Power BI kind of system, right? What you can see. So let me try and just do it. And now, it's just there. Let me just do this thing. So you can integrate with any of your existing Power BI, Tableau, which you're already using. So you don't have to restart everything. And one of the cool thing what we realized is, let's say ask a question, can you show me my monthly sales? Before us, what people were in the business were struggling with that, hey, we got the data, but I don't know why my sales is high. Now, there are choices you have. You can select and keep clicking drill down. Let's go in category. You select a category. Let's go ahead and look out for segment. Let's select segment and then go out for ship mode. But you realize it's very cumbersome, right? If you've got 50,000 or say at one of the biggest pharma companies, the Fortune 500 pharma companies we work with, right? They've got 15,000 sales reps. Can you imagine them struggling with data, trying to ask questions? So the funny part for building this technology for 5 years, we realized that more than 90% of people don't know what questions to ask. It's just like everybody has Google, but they don't know how to use Google. So we said, what is their ask? So their ask was, can AI go ahead and do the drill down and tell me why sales are up and down, or for that matter of fact, any metric? Let me show you, rather than you doing all this drill down, let AI do this thing for you. Can you show me the monthly sales? Let's just pick any information like this, click on the system, pick up whatever we feel like. So let's say wanted city, customer, and ask the system to analyze. System has analyzed close to 20 million records right away, right now, live. And you can see how it has stitched the story that why the sales are increasing. So when you see, it tells you your sales are increasing because of binders, tables, copiers. This is why it is decreasing. It also tells you point, like I think somebody, Shirin was there, right? And we talked about insights. Now the insight has to be relevant, right? It can't be like every time insight. Let's say if you're talking about increase in copier sales, but I'm not interested in copiers, I'm interested in machines. How about I can select a machine and apply a filter on the fly, again 20 million records. Now let us see what the insight is. Now you see the insight is not about copiers, it is about machines. So that is what the technology is able to do. Now think about a rep who is doing different kind of calculation, changing strategies, right? Every month, thousands of them are there. And you don't know what strategy is working, what is not working. And that's why you would like to see another kind of root cause analysis. Let's about clicking up here, click on a button and zip. This is the game, right? And while you see this thing happening, right, what you can also do is, let's say you don't like this thing, right? I just pick any other thing, let's say this hike, and go for root cause. Again, analyze. So now with AI, it takes less than few seconds. And it tells you, right, that you don't need to worry about your office supplies because both places, both months, it was almost the same, but you need to check your furniture. It has come down drastically over there. It tells you that these are the data issues pointed. It tells you small introduction that how furniture is experiencing the problem. It also tells you the actionable insight, and it is as easy as scrolling your article. And scroll up here, tells me about the segment. Scroll up here, tells me about region. It scroll up here. You can keep scrolling, and it has performed those 10, 20 level analysis. So that's it from my side, right? And of course, it's much more powerful, but limited time. Just a little bit of more. So this technology is very much popular in the US. We have got customers who we are working with, right? Brands like PayPal, AirAsia, right? In India also, we work with a little bit of pharma companies very recently, very large BFSI funds, which we're working with. The idea and the theme is, if you can bring a company from $2 billion to $10 billion in last 5 years without having any assistance, imagine you being able to build a company with you plus AI in next 5 years. And it will not going to be 5 times. So I'm not worried about data growing 90%, but what I'm worried about, what are we going to do with this AI and that data? Even if you can use the AI to do all the thinking process for yourself, nothing like it. So that's what Super AI is all about with the theme of you plus AI. Thank you.
Well, that was on time. Very, very neat and crisp pitch, Saurabh. Well done. Now we'll open up for questions. I can see some curious hands already. All right, over to you. Over to you, speakers. Sridhar?
Is the Alphaa AI and get Super AI are the same? Is it a different?
Oh yeah, so Super AI is our US company. We raised $2 million to build that company, and we moved the Alphaa AI thing to US. So now Alphaa AI is just an India company, right? Because we all started here, and I think NASSCOM added us as Alphaa AI.
Now, what I saw was pretty impressive, and
thank you.
I know. I think it definitely, while I'm seeing is, I could imagine so many use cases. I can bring it to healthcare similarly. But so my understanding is this AI is specialized in specifically understanding data and providing analytics, faster analytics. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, so Super AI is like your all-in-one co-pilot. It can answer your questions on structured data, unstructured data. Plus, the best thing you can, we have got 8 different agents which are trained in 8 different domains. Like, as I think one of the speakers was talking about, that it has to be vertically trained. So you've got a BFSI agent, healthcare agent kind of agents, and this is something which you can host privately. So you don't need to upload your data on ChatGPT kind of stuff. And actually, for that matter of fact, one of the biggest cancer hospital in the world, which is Memorial Sloan, so they use it to understand their incident management as a hospital. Because as a hospital, there are a lot of incidents, like 22 million incidents happened, like in a year kind of time frame. So those are certain use cases in healthcare we have figured out.
Excellent.
Thank you for the questions, Sridhar.
Any other questions before we move to our next set of discussion? All right. Okay.
Thanks, Saurabh. Thanks, Preksha, for such a nice presentation of the product. One quick question that I have regarding Super AI or Alphaa AI. First of all, I guess it's agentic flow, right? The workflow is agentic.
Yeah, you can create live agents like on the fly with the database you connect to.
Okay. And how have you created the stack? The stack in the sense, is it like, for example, the application and the models and the cloud, so that it can be dealt, like all the proprietary data could be dealt on it. So would you like to give a light on that?
Okay. Yeah, so basically, this is a native, it's a foundational native data model. Meaning, what you do is you typically connect to a data source, a dynamic data source like a data lake, data warehouse, Power BI, or Tableau, right? Where the system automatically reads the metadata from the source and creates an agent for you. So that is called a data agent. Let's say you are a supply chain you would like to automate. You can connect it to supply chain data set over there. Now, while you've connected a data agent, you can also upload few of your unstructured data sources like your status report around operations, right, which your team is sharing and all, right, with the team. Upload it to the agent, then the agent automatically trains all this thing, and all this thing is happening on a virtual machine, a Docker based machine, which can be which is a part of on your own prem. We own the main model which we have and the web application, and rest everything lies on the customer infrastructure. They depend on Azure, Google, or wherever you are. So you just provide us the virtual machine, and that's about it. It's like a very, very self-organized system, and it keeps on learning also. So more and more questions you ask to the system. It's like hiring a fresher and asking more questions. So more and more you ask, and more you report the answer is not right or something, right? The system will take that as a feedback and automatically correct itself. That is one. Second, the best part in the system is it is a deterministic system, meaning it doesn't hallucinate even 1 in a million times. Why? Because you cannot have your CFO wrong 1% of the time, right? I don't think any company would like that CFO over there. So it
That's
is a
a pretty
yeah. So
concrete
it's a
answer.
yeah. So this is a deterministic system, meaning it doesn't mix up anything all by its own. If it doesn't have that metric, like you say, what are my profit margin? Let's say your system doesn't have a profit margin, but your system has got sales and cost. So it's not try to it will not try to say subtract cost from the sales and then minus this. It's not going to do all of those things. If it doesn't have profit margin, it will never give you profit margin. It will say, I don't have that piece with me. So because that was very important from the enterprise. So the three main pillars is, the first thing is connectivity with the existing data sources which you already have, and the applications like that, SAP, like being able to host it privately, right? And the third thing is not uploading any data on ChatGPT, because you will find a lot of companies, right, trying to build this prompt-based company around their system, and when you go ahead and start to work with your existing system, you realize, hey, it's not their IP, it's just some ChatGPT kind of stuff. So those three things are very, very important.
So how do you handle the hallucinations if it is going to happen? For the model may not know how you're going to handle the hallucinations.
A very interesting question. So this the secret lies in how the model has been designed and trained. This is not a ChatGPT kind of large language model, first of all. Okay, this model is trained to understand the context of the question, but the model doesn't create any query. So there is no query creation which model is doing. There is a simple, what we call it, an SQL transcompiler technology, where you feed in the context and it creates the query basis on the metadata it has access to. So if the context has been given of profit margin, but profit margin doesn't exist in the metadata, it will simply exclude that thing. So that's how it's pretty easy to do that.
All right.
Not that
all right.
easy.
Thank you. Thank you, Saurav. I believe you answered all the questions, right? There are some more questions for you in the chat box. Maybe, Preksha can answer them later. So thank you once again. So now we'll move to the second segment of our knowledge session discussion. We have Sushant with us, back with some of his insights and questions. Sushant, over to you, and then we move to our next startup.
Perfect. Thanks, Naman. That was a very, very crisp and insightful presentation by Super.ai. I do have some more questions to ask Saurabh, so I'll come back to you later post this session. Now, coming back to our leaders, So I'll start with Shirin. Shirin, we have been talking. So one of the discussion we had was around the justification of ROI. When you have Power BIs and tableaus of the world, already being utilized by the senior leaders. What do you think? How can businesses justify the ROI of adopting GenAI as a technology, and how will you determine the success? What are the parameters through which this will be very insightful for the startups? When they are pitching to the corporates like yours, how do you determine the success? So if you could answer this.
Yes, Sushant. So it's a very, very relevant question, and I think I keep chasing that between my craziness for new technology and then balancing act for business. So it's while I think each one of us, be it the enterprises or the startups, have to come to a very bootstrapped stage when we look at GenAI tech right now, even if it's Godrej, right? I have to look at that. I have to say that, am I solving a problem that is not solved right now? Or is this good to have or must to have? These are the, can my business live without it? Am I chasing the business or the business is chasing me? So these type of questions help me sort out which technology I want to go ahead with. If I have a Power BI dashboard and I just build a co-pilot, will I get sales team or the finance team to fund it? I doubt. But if there is no dashboard and right now data is just lying everywhere and I build a nice technology for them to see the graphs. If I'm just trying to show a bigger graph into smaller graph or some questioning on a graph that exists, practically dhando wali people don't get into all of that. Like that's the real Indian word, right? Dhanda. We don't get into that. Yes, but if I don't have dashboard, I have so much diverse problem statements and so much diverse data sets, and I cannot, even when I have to look at profit margin, I don't know where to look at, and then I help them build a dashboard or a chatbot. It is the ROI question. So these, while we get dazzled and with new technology and sparkle, I have to answer some questions like I mentioned: good to have, necessary to have. Is it going to change the way business is doing things? Also in that question, drastically going to change, or then change management is required. So moving bigger engines like Godrej is another challenge. So all these questions, keeping aside the fanciness and the grace for the new tech, but trying to look at everyday questions that the business is looking at. And the best test is to go to the business and say, this is going to cost so much, but going to give you this impact. The moment you talk about money, you get the real sense whether there is impact. Free things, everybody says, yes, I would like to experiment. And you say, okay, it's going to cost something, you get the answer. So I think these fundamental questions help you balance the answer. At least right now, as Godrej, I feel we are in must-have category. Good to have eventually, yes, but must have, yes, we are there.
Thank you. Parijat ji, same question to you. How do you justify the ROI? Because we have been talking about the ROI specifically around GenAI, and if you could share, if it is not confidential, some of the areas where you think this GenAI for data analytics is actually providing value to the businesses. I think the startups would be eager to know those.
Definitely. So, like Shirin said, ROI is something that is a must-have. That too, for the leaders, that is something which is the first thing that everybody would want to look at. Like if we are introducing something, whether it is going to fetch value in terms of money or not. So there, like I said earlier, it's very important to identify the problem which is coming from the business and not to push some solution to them which might not be there in their head already. So it is it becomes easy to kind of curate challenges from the business and then tell them how AI or Gen AI can solve that. Now, say for example, you asked for few use cases. We can definitely discuss few of, like, if we have to control the quality of a particular material moving from the say manufacturing plant to the warehouse. There are actually multiple levels that we cross through. It will be on the forklift sometime, it will be on the conveyor belt sometime, it will be in trays and stacks and all that. Now, camera vision can actually check and keep on populating the data at every stage, at every level, and before it reaches the warehouse, we can understand whether the quality has been the same or at what level the quality was not, as per our standard or as per the quality that would be asked by a customer. So it's always easy to define the or conclude with the ROI when the questions or use cases come from the business and you start working on that, and that is how even the confidence builds. We have, you are quite aware, Susan, we have a camera vision based system, we have sensorization being done already, and it's scaling up now in Vedanta. So it has all come up only because we have taken up the use case from the business and we have not forced anything on them. And that is how this whole confidence has grown. And very well now, since in the pilot itself we have seen good ROI coming, the Vedanta is already ready to scale up, and ROI is something that is there in the background, and the front seat has been taken by we have to go ahead and do this.
Absolutely, I'm a huge fan of the vision created by Anil Agarwalji. And being a partner, I'm seeing this working with you day in, day out, helping you digitalize, some of these challenging scenarios. Okay, so my next question would be to Sarbani. Sarbani, we spoke about this, before the start of this session, and this is something which definitely, I would like you to answer. Is about the role of synthetic data. I think synthetic data, when it comes to data analytics, it's just one of the major shareholder. And a lot of talk is about synthetic data, utilizing synthetic data in testing and training machine learning models. How do you? But there is still some gap or some debate about the reliability of these testings, and because of the data biases, etc. How do you see, what do you think about the reliability of these kind of models which are trained on these synthetic data rather than the actual data sets? Because you work with an industry which is highly regulated and it is very critical for patient safety. So how reliable is this data for training these models?
Yeah, you are right, actually. There is a bit of a gap. This cannot be relied for all kind of data set. That is for true. In certain aspect, we have to and we can rely, for example, some kind of a document that is okay to synthesize, and thanks to GenAI, thanks to transformer models that are helping us to generating as per our needs. But for example, in other aspects of radiology, the images from different modalities that we see, it is hard. But yes, we are using, but it is hard to make it as per our needs, as per our predictions for anomalies, for example. But not only looking on the synthesizing part, we also have to look into the model so that it can cope up for its predictions. That is what I can say. We can rely on synthesized data, yes, but for some data, but not for all particular data. So, for example, for the domain of radiology, that is very much like we have to be cautious about that. we cannot
There are companies who are
synthesize.
using it, if I'm not mistaken, specifically in the field of radiology itself. Sridharji, one question to you. So we had a discussion some time back about edge analytics on the medical devices for predictive maintenance. Given again, you come from the medical device background, and this is a very highly regulated industry. How do you see its role in real-time patient monitoring and diagnostics? And what are the challenges in terms of patient safety, data privacy, etc.? Which you see as a challenge specifically around edge analytics?
I mean, that's definitely a huge challenge today. Predictive analytics, especially on the predictive maintenance side, is a highly desirable use case. I think just like that, one of the first use cases the company adopted today, because the service team are facing a huge challenge, and then I think the moment they educated on the GenAI, they kind of pushed the business that, hey, we want an GenAI application on it, right? I think so. We were talking about the ROI, so predictive maintenance is one of the straightforward ROI that the organization or the business can see. So it's immediately funded, right? The challenges definitely because we are never planned. See, when always, I think it's the same for all the business. We always firefighting. We always want to get to the market faster. Although we are highly regulated, we try to do all the best we can do, but we never planned for the data for a GenAI kind of applications. We had no idea, right? So now that we want to build applications, then we can see so much of gaps in the data that we have put together. So we are trying to clean it up. Actually, we want to restructuring entire the way we collect the data and produce the data from our devices itself for the GenAI roadmap going forward, right? So that's a huge cost, and that's a time taking, and along with the other business priorities that we have and meeting our customer requirement, we also have to run this in parallel. So cleaning up those data, restructuring the data, re-architecting and redesigning those data within the devices is all something which we are trying to take it up now and move forward. Yeah, if it's from the scratch, if you're developing a whole new product, yes, the way we look at the whole design architecture now is all different now, right? Because we know that everything is going to be later, some predictive analytics and some AI decisions and insight we want to get to from the data generated from these devices.
So one fun fact, in spite of being highly regulated, healthcare and fintech, these are the two sectors which are adopting, which are adopting GenAI at a very faster rate.
Right. So only advantage healthcare has is because we are following some of this regulated standards, right? The either GDPR or HIPAA standards, or some of these like FPS 140-2 for the encryption, security, and all of this. That at least that provides some kind of a stability. We can predict at what kind of data in what format comes up, but what actual data to be produced, even to make some of these decisions and insightful decisions, that is a really big gap. I think that gaps we can only see now and take up as we go forward.
On that point, I just wanted to add one point, regarding the decisions. Like in life sciences sector, thanks to DeepMind and on the go other companies that have developed, for example, bringing up AlphaFold, like that has literally changed everything. Like regarding the protein synthesis and their interaction, this has really helped on the drug discovery. So that has really changed the game.
You'll be amazed to know we have a couple of success stories specifically in these areas in generative AI. Something around digital simulations, material discovery, and we thought these are the difficult ones, but there are a good number of companies who are looking for such kind of use cases, which could be solved. Yeah. Naman, over to you.
I believe, yes, right. On that note, let's move to our next speaker, next presenter, who are empowering business users with self-serve analytics, right? We have Priyankan with us from LEGOAI. Priyankan, can we have you on the screen, please? The LEGOAI team, all right.
Am I visible?
Yeah. We can see you
Okay,
now.
great.
You may share your screen.
Sure. Let me do that.
Well, I must say you have a pretty cool website with all the, pretty cool coding stuff happening on the homepage. I can hardly make out of it, but you are here now to, navigate our journey to it. All right, over to you.
Yeah, sure. So, hello everyone. I am Prinkan, one of the co-founders of LEGOAI. Before I take you to the actual platform that we have built, I would like to give some context. So, the area in which we are building is primarily around data readiness for generative AI kind of use cases or applications in enterprises, right? So, if you look at fundamentally, the challenge has always been around getting the right data, highly connected data and curated data available for any kind of AI use cases or any kind of digital transformation use cases. And today, if you see, this market is highly, I would say, highly crowded with tools and technologies, whether it is Databricks or whether it is Snowflake, on the other hand, Power BI, Tableau, and whatnot. But at the same time, even though these tools exist, there are a huge number of huge amount of dependency on specialized skill sets like data engineers, data scientists, to actually use these tools and kind of ensure that things are done right with the data for businesses to make decisions. But even after so much of investments going in, businesses often ask a very simple question, which is around the ROI. That okay, I spend millions of dollars on this implementation, we build this modern data platform, but if I ask for a simple question as why is my sales declining, or as simple question as where should I spend my next $100,000 for marketing, which channel is most optimal for me, it takes about a couple of days, if not more, for any of you to come back with an answer. Now, if you really look at this problem is primarily because there are multiple layers of translation that is going on. So the business users or the decision makers, they know what KPIs to drive, and they talk in the language of business, and that gets translated by analytics specialists or data teams into what we call as an analytical requirement, which gets translated into an analytical solution and finally into a business solution, right? And in this process of translation, there are multiple stakeholders from both business and data teams who are involved, which is where it takes a lot of time in back and forth. And given a large enterprise organization where enterprise systems are continuously undergoing migration, or enterprise are continuously acquiring new companies or undergoing mergers, this is a never-ending problem that CIOs and CDOs are trying to deal with, which today, at least, the answer to this problem is throwing armies of data engineers, data stewards, and scientists to it, right? So what we said is we will try to look at this problem in this era of GenAI. While everyone is trying to leverage large language models and do a lot of data analysis, there has been success rate, there has been failure rates as well, and someone very rightly said that it is a double-edged sword. So what we said is, can we look at this problem completely bottoms up? And therefore we said that what if we built a tech that can completely automate the process of what we call as data modeling, feature engineering, insight generation, and data exploration through our own definition of AI, which need not be only large language model dependent. And that is where we bring in a combination of our own proprietary machine learning models, fine-tuned large language models, and graph networks to revisit data analytics from the lens of what we call as AI autonomous data analysis. Now, without further ado, let me take you directly to the platform and show you how it works. So this is what we call as the data ontology or the business ontology builder, and we build business ontology with the thought process of directly connecting to your raw data in enterprise systems. Now, in any enterprises, you will see data being available across multiple different source systems, may it be ERP, CRM, data warehouse, data lakes, lake houses, and whatnot. So what we say is, for us, everything is a data source. Now, in this case, if you see, I have different systems like MySQL, I have data coming in from Salesforce, Azure Synapse, SFE, and it can be anywhere across any cloud, doesn't matter. So the first step is we go ahead and kind of add them to our context canvas, as we call it. Now, when we add them, it basically shows you how typically a data will look like in any enterprise, right? Which is basically completely siloed, right? The first step to the process is how do you cluster or how do you organize this data across different data domains? Many organizations does it in different ways. Some organization does it by business functions or geography. In this case, I will say let's do it by industry domains. If you want to define your own domain, you have an option to do that as well. Right now, let's say you have hundreds of data assets. All you need to do is tag a few of them. In this case, the model is already trained with the tagging. What I will do is I will trigger my clustering algorithm, which basically will classify these data assets into what we call as the domain clusters, right? So this is how it typically looks like in an environment. Now, when we talk about representing this data, right, we can look at the entire data in three levels. One is at a domain level, at a data asset level, and attribute level. But in order to derive insights from this, we really need to find out relationships, and that is where it will take a lot of time for a data modeler to understand different source schemas and then do their own exploratory data analysis and derive relationships and build the data model. So we have an ontology builder. We have figured out an algorithm. This is the same algorithm on top of which the Google works or web semantics work, the web 2.2 works, and we brought it to enterprise data management. And we have coupled it with our own models and called it as a link prediction algorithm, which when triggered, basically tries to identify relationships across the data system. So it is now saying that you have this many tables, this many are linked, this many are in silos, and it gives me a small report of all the different keys that it has identified. If I close this, if you see, it will look like as if it has identified all the relationships across sources which never existed. And this is how it is typically in any enterprise. In terms of visibility, it will allow any one who is a subject matter expert to inspect these particular relationships and say that as a human, if I am able to validate the machine learning output or the model output with certain level of transparency and explainability. In this case, it says that if you actually execute this join, this kind of percentage mapping, etc., you get. So it is under the human subject matter expert's control to say that if I agree to a machine learning output or if I want to do away with it. For an example, the machine might miss out certain relationships. In this case, let's say I as a domain expert, I know that customer demographics and problem statement issue can be connected based on customer name. So if I go ahead and if I want to map them, I can then and there execute this kind of mapping and see what kind of mapping it is really giving me and take a call whether I want to persist this relationship or do away with it. Now, while all of this is happening, one thing that is most important is around data quality, and I give complete visibility, or I get complete visibility on this platform to say that at each and every attribute level, data asset level, and a domain level, what is the completeness, validity, and invalidity of my data to ensure that I am making the correct decisions. Now, once this is done, what we typically do is now it's time to go and add some business metadata to it, right? In order to add business metadata, we go to this business glossary generator, where we have obviously certain large language model working behind the scenes along with the metadata that we generated in previous steps. And when we trigger it, we basically get a very detailed glossary at a table and attribute level, as well as business tags. Now, in most organizations, nomenclature is not standardized, and this is the work of data steward or the data stewards who basically coordinate with multiple departments and put it together manually. Now, this is what we have automated, because as we add more of this business metadata, it becomes eventually easier, and the downstream consumption becomes more seamless, right? Now, once all of this is done, fundamentally what you do is you go ahead and give it a name. Oh, one more thing that I forgot. You can actually, once you've identified all of this, abstract it back at a domain level. While the granular level view is for someone who is more technical. If you are a business guy or a domain guy, you can understand this ontology very well. Like customer places orders, order has products, product has issues, order has contracts and whatnot. And we are working with at least 4 different industries now, and they find this information very useful from a top level validation perspective of how the entire communication of their data supply chain is working. Now, yeah, so once all of this is happening, I basically go and give this ontology a name and I publish it, right? And then it's time for me to start consuming this semantic model or the ontology that I created for my use cases. And that is what brings me to the second part of my platform, which fundamentally says that, okay, now that I have all of these, how do I start interacting with it? There are two ways of interacting. One feature is called as a data card feature, where basically you have all the data attributes structured in form of domain tables and attributes. You basically, without you needing to know how they are connected or how they are joined, you just drag and drop all of them onto this canvas. And when you let me give it a name.
Priyankan, quickly.
And,
you just have
yeah,
two more minutes and then.
Yeah, that should be all. So yeah, so when I basically execute this particular particular card that I created, just like your e-commerce card, it basically manifests it into the selected portion of attributes from your entire data model. This is a manufacturing use case, and automatically generates a code in the backend that is required to manifest the card into an actual data product. In the interest of time, let me just go and show you how it looks like. So when you basically generate this data product, it looks like a flattened table, which in the backend might be coming from multiple tables. So in the process, I'm completely eliminating the need of ETL or writing your traditional medallion ETL process. So that's that's one way of consuming that semantic model that we generated in form of data products. The other way is through a conversational AI feature, right? And in this case, you can go and ask any kind of question. So in this case, this is a manufacturing use case. I can go and ask questions like, show me all sensors which are currently in working state. I can continue to have follow-up questions saying that tell me sensors that are not working in a particular warehouse, or can you tell me how many working sensors are installed in every warehouse, etc. And then when I want to actually visualize them, I basically go and hit this icon. And based on whatever visualization, if I want to pin it to a dashboard and create my own live board, I am open to do that. But primarily it is for me to have a conversational interface and start getting real-time insights. Now, obviously, one would say that, okay, how do I really contextualize this to my metrics definition? We have a feature called as Analytics Catalog, where you basically go and put in your own metric definitions in simple English language, and that will be taken up for your conversations whenever you are having with the system. So with that, I will take a pause. Yeah, we are using this across automotive manufacturer, automotive parts manufacturer, consumer packaged goods, and high tech as an industry today. So we have about 6 clients today. We are an 18-year-old company, 18 months old company. And yeah, thanks for your time. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Priyankan. I can completely understand. You have so much to talk about with the kind of platform that you have built, and wishing you soon you turn to be an 18-year-old company.
That cannot happen very soon.
All right. So on that note, in the interest of time, we'll be taking questions later. So up next, we have an exciting startup that's all about turning raw information into pure gold. So please welcome, we have dataeaze, a company that believes in one powerful idea. So their website says, let's data be your biggest asset. So can we have the team, please? All right, we have the team here. Over to you guys. dataeaze. Ajit. Hi, Ajit.
Hey, thanks, Naman. Hello, team. Very insightful discussion. It has been very interesting to hear to all of you guys. So I myself, Saurabh, Tony and Vedant before here represent dataeaze systems, and in the interest of time, I'll directly jump into the main, the key point, the solution around generative AI, which we have built. I'll share my screen. I'll get started with that. Hope my screen is visible.
Right.
Okay. So a quick introduction about dataeaze. At dataeaze Systems, we are a company having focused offerings around data only. Data engineering, data science is something that we have been doing. Generative AI solutions, we ventured into 1.5 years back, and we have few solutions. The one which we are going to focus today is a compliance assistant named 𝐃𝐚𝐈-𝐩𝐨𝐬. The agenda of this conversation, we'll cover what is the problem statement about the market opportunity, what exactly we have built, the innovation we have done, and then we'll go into a deep dive of maybe 3 to 4 minutes of demo. So that is what we'll be covering. So the solution 𝐃𝐚𝐈-𝐩𝐴 caters to the challenge of dealing with various compliance documents, various regulatory circulars published by regulatory authorities. Various sectors, various industries have their own government regulators. Fintech, healthcare, we all know are highly regulated. But there are other industries as well, like mining also has its own regulators and then regulations which the organizations need to comply to. Currently, 𝐃𝐚𝐈-𝐩𝐴 is targeted for fintech, for RBI, SEBI, IRDA, and there are multiple other such regulators out there. The challenge with these documents published by regulators, so these are typically master directions, master circulars, which talk about rules, regulations, laws, and then there are amendments which keep on coming. So there would be amendment to a circular, amendment to a master direction. The language of all of these documents is kind of a structured formal language. It is natural language, and there is a lot of information sitting inside it. This information is in form of rules and regulations. Non-compliance is a very big risk. So the compliance officers who are responsible in order to make sure the organization is compliant to the regulations, they have to deal with all this knowledge sitting in these documents. So these are the challenges around working with these complex compliance documents. What we have come up with is a solution which helps compliance officer to very easily navigate through all of these documents, very easily search through the knowledge that they are looking for. And then there are some specific use cases which are built in order to simplify their day-to-day work. For example, an auditor would expect a list of action items corresponding to a master circular. So a circular is a document which talks about various rules and regulations, but auditor is interested in a list of action items that auditor needs to take care of in order to make sure the organization is compliant. So conversion of a circular to an action item list is one of such use cases. So what we have is an application. We have a fine-tuned LLM model which brings out all of these use cases in an accurate way. And then we have a capability to customize it further. We'll take a look at the demo of the application in after next 2-3 minutes. So the RegTech previously, there have been very large players. RegTech is a very large industry out there, but the solutions have been primarily about aggregation of information and then the tools to follow the process. Whereas with generative AI, the information sitting inside those regulations, the meaning of the information can be extracted and that can be made actionable. Hyper automation can be built on top of that. That is what we are leveraging here. Now talking about what exactly we have built. So there are two key aspects here. There is a full-fledged application called as 𝐃𝐚𝐈-𝐩𝐴, which is for a targeted audience of compliance officer and an auditor in an organization. And at the back end of this application is a fine-tuned large language model, a small language model rather. We call it as a RegLLM, which is fine-tuned in order to achieve better performance. So the thing here is that regulatory compliance cannot afford errors. The accuracy has to be good. The outcome which is generated by this model should produce as less hallucination as possible, and the action items, the checklists which are generated, those should be as close to the actual list mentioned inside the circular. The open models available out there can do the task, but they cannot achieve this level of accuracy. That is where we have fine-tuned it further, and we call it as RegLLM. There has been some dataset curation. There is an agentic architecture behind. So various generative AI engineering techniques are applied in order to come up with the final solution. The model is available out there on Hugging Face under license, as is mentioned here. So basically, code is proprietary, dataset is proprietary, model is available for use in a non-commercial mode. The model which we have published, RegLLM v2. So GPT-4o is a very large model, private deployment not possible. You can save on capex because of paper use, but opex is there. Accuracy is quite good. But as this cannot be deployed private, organizations need something to be deployed private. Llama 3.18b can be deployed private, but then capex is large. Plus the accuracy is an issue. So there are a lot of hallucination and other challenges with Llama 3.18b. So in RegLLM v2, we have like most of those greens here, meaning you can achieve private deployment, you can save on OPEX, and the accuracy is as good as GPT-4. So this is how you get a 8 billion model with accuracy specific to the regulatory use cases as good as GPT-4. So this is the model behind this solution. Now I'll quickly jump to the part. So there is some description how exactly the result is better, but we'll directly jump to the demo part of it. So I'll hand over to Tony. Tony, if you can give a quick demo of the solution.
Yes, I'm sharing my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Yes, so we have a couple of features that we provide with 𝐃𝐚𝐈. I'll take you through each one of them. So the first one is a question feature. So say I want to know the restrictions REs have on investments in alternate mutual funds. So what we do now is we retrieve the documents that are most relevant to this query, and then we construct a comprehensive answer with respect to it. So we also have a knowledge graph in our backend that helps us connect through multiple documents. So if the information is spread out through multiple documents, then we get the response condensed in one. It seems there is a connection issue. Let me just reshare my screen once more.
Well, it's fine if it's taking time. Probably.
No, sorry, I'm back.
Minute, right? Quickly, last 1 minute. You just
sorry. Yes.
Just guide us through them.
So as I said, we are doing the retrieval now, and the answer is being generated. So now, as you can see, the most relevant context is from two different circulars, data 2023 and 2024. So the information in 2024, it amends the change information that is given in 2023. So we get a comprehensive answer that covers all the information. You also get the citations here, so you can confirm the links yourself. The second feature is /compliance, which gives you a compliance table of all the documents that we have specific to this regulator. So if you see here, we have selected RBI, we have 2033 circulars, 240 master circulars and 129 master directions. And for each of these documents, you get three options. So references, changes, and actions. So the references gives you a graph representing all the documents referred by a specific document. You can navigate through these documents by clicking on the edges, on the nodes. And if you hover over the relationship edges, you can get an explanation as to the context in which these documents are being referred. You can also drill down deeper on these relationships. From the edges, you can go see what changes is that document making to another document. So you can drill down on this lineage and get more answers. The changes
Right.
feature also provides you a similar graph, but here if you click on the edge, it gives you a concise explanation as to the change that the current circular made to an older circular. So this usually compliance officers have to go through multiple documents, read through each one of them, understand the different changes, so to ensure that they are compliant with the necessary rules and regulations. Now let's show. I'll show you action for a
Quickly,
different
I think
document.
it's almost time. I think it's almost time, and we'll connect offline. Sounds like an interesting use case for some document-specific model. So Sushant, it's almost time. So over to you, and just quickly you can take the closing note.
Absolutely. Thanks, Naman. Thank you. So as a wrap up to this insightful discussion, I would like to ask each one of you to share your final thoughts on the future of GenAI, especially in the field of data analytics. What do you believe will be the key trends in next 5 years, and how should businesses prepare to maximize the outcome that the outcome or the maximize the potential of these advancements? We can start with Parijat. You're on mute if you're speaking, Parijat.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
So, Sushant, first thing is that we have to understand this thing that generative AI is not something which is going to replace any of the human being, and it is very, very important to work together for the human and the AI. And this is how, if we talk about the data, and this is going to be the greatest companion in terms of decision making in future. And it's already there, I would say. It's already there, and it's moving at a very, very rapid pace. And the decision making is going to be more of a predictive in nature than just prescriptive. And this is going to be something that will not just help any particular sector or any particular industry, but is going to be very, very pervasive. And that shift we can already see, that the shift is already there. And what we need to do, I would definitely, as being in Vedanta, what I am taking as a step by step here is that introduce it in pieces, so that slowly it gets inculcated in the culture of the organization. And it's very important to kind of educate on the data, and the transparency of data has to be there to kind of not have any space for biasness, which is very important. And we were talking about hallucination of data and all. When we prevent hallucination, sometimes it becomes very, very restricted. So definitely in near future we will see that restriction slowly fades away, and so does the hallucination. So it's going to be a very, very interesting era, and very soon, with the way it is climbing and the way this shift is happening, we are going to see a great synergy of human and AI, creating a better world, for sure.
Very aptly you used words, human and AI, and it is creating a lot of confusion in the minds of executives. There was this fact which I was reading. Over 67% of the top executives, they are facing a lot of challenges in using this particular technology right now, and this trend will continue. Sridharji, over to you for the same question.
First of all, I really appreciate all the demos, including the LEGOAI and the Reg LLM. I think it really opens up my mind that all possibilities with all these tools. LEGOAI, I know you, Autocraft. It's although you've demonstrated a very simple use case, but the real world use cases are much more complex, especially when the healthcare industry applying ontology between all the data sets, right? That's where I always think multimodality is the future, because diagnosing patients, I know Sarbani agrees. It's the data comes in a different format, right? It's an image format from the X-ray, CT scans, the text format, audio signals, video signals. So it's much more complex data which we need to correlate and find a relationship. So I hope LEGOAI advanced to that aspect, and I see some more complex use cases that we right now really facing challenges with. Right, that's what I would love to see. RegGel LM, I know you guys are saying is a document based. For me, in the healthcare industry, it's a big challenge. I'm telling you, reading regulatory documents, articles or the standards, understanding it, converting them and implementing them in the product development is a nightmare. All the R&D is focusing on the solution and engineering. No one wants to understand regulatory compliance and the document. That's where there's a real need to understand this document and just tell me what has to be done, right? So I would really hope RegLLM will take to the next level and help us all on these aspects of it. Thank you very much.
Sarbani?
Sure. Thank you, Sushant. See, on the further go, like what I understand and what I follow, like Dr. Andrew NG, like recently what he has spoken in a Sequa capital in San Francisco is on the go. There's like in future we are going to observe not only on one particular use case, it's something like multi-agentic with maybe one model or maybe multiple models and with multi-agent workflow, handling all different kind of data, as Sridhar you mentioned, different images of on different modalities to say, and gyroscopic data and many other similar to that. So how it will be handled on one particular on one particular platform and creating a multi-agent. So that is what we are going to see. It's something like not looking into like GenAI, it's something like what the agent is working on cloud platforms, and that is what we are going to see. And looking into the models, it's something like how well we can train it. We are not like current situation is we are literally working on foundational models on single shot prompts, but on the go on future it's not something like that we are going to work. It's something like we are going to use the foundational models and create our training on our proprietary data and making our own agents on one single pane of glass. That I can see.
Absolutely. Shirin?
It won't take much time. I think we're anyways at the end of session, but quick thought. I think the Gen AI is only going to go up and better, and just get the tool is going to get very powerful, right? I very much believe it's like the Jarvis in Iron Man movie, and I keep saying that. The good part is that it will help us rely less on experience and bias and gut feel. So when we say I'm making this decision on gut feel, that will start going down with more and more data analytics, structured, unstructured, or any of the Gen AI use cases. The challenge or something that we have to do is we have to also get powerful and equipped to handle that powerful weapon. So upskilling, not just for all of us who are reading and working in AI, but our organization, our sales teams, our marketing teams, which is where right now AI is not a part of their BAU. How can we equip everybody so that they can make the most of this powerful giant that's getting created? My worry is if we somewhere even take one step back, it's going to get more and more powerful, and the energy is going to be too much for us to handle. So while all the billions of dollars are getting pumped in and everything, let's also get ourselves equipped I think that's my thought on how I look at AI. I'm very excited, but I also want to equip myself so that it does not overtake my real intelligence. Artificial intelligence doesn't take away my real intelligence. So that's where my
Absolutely, Shirin. And this is something which most of us, the innovation ecosystem enablers, are facing these days. Most of the use cases that we are getting from businesses, they think of it as a AGI, which can get into our mind and can solve a particular use case. That's the expectation from the business, and you have to teach them. You have to tell them, okay, what is possible, what is not, and that's a challenge for most of the innovation guys. Thank you. That's a very
So thank
insightful.
you. With that, yes, we have come to an end of session. What an exciting session we just had. Right. Thank you all for being such an engaged and curious audience today. And a big round of applause to our fantastic speakers. Thank you, Sushant, startups, innovators, who showed us today what's possible when data meets decision-making power. And to those who are watching, don't forget to check out our upcoming sessions and join our community of change makers. So let's keep the conversation going, and until next time, stay innovative, stay curious, and as we like to say here at Open Innovators, stay ahead of the curve. Have a great evening, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.